when you have more structure, habits, structures, priorities, they take the decision making out of things for us, systems, processes. What they do is they simplify things for us. And so where a lot of us are, we need lots of time, we're making lots of decisions and we don't have quick decision making. We have to really think through it and you need to get input from other people, and we don't have a roadmap and we don't have plans, we don't have a strategic plan, all these kind of things. We're basically bushwhacking our way through life all day long. And then we're wondering why it's taking us so long to get there.
You are now listening to the highlight reel builder for authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, best-selling author of the book Stay the Course, and Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Member, Dom Brightman. And you're going to be getting some tips and techniques to advance yourself up next. Today's episode is sponsored by the GoingNorthPodcast.com shop. And if you head over to the wonderful website, cop some merchandise, take a selfie with you rocking the gear, shoot it to yours truly, the host, Dom Brightman at gmail.com, and I will give you a shout out on the show as well, and heck, even tag you on social media as well. So feel free to check out some of the good old merch on GoingNorthPodcastShop.com. Now let's get on with some super special, awesome content. Well, we're back at you again, folks, on the Going North podcast, baby. That's right. And today's episode is super special also because it's a host special. Because for those who may remember the wonderful year that should not be named, 2020. Oh, dang, I already said it. Well, yeah, that wonderful year, 2020, yeah, where more than Twinkies just made a disappearance from America. It's where the giant evilness happened, known as, the vid. But hey, what also happened that year is I was able to get on this gentleman's wonderful podcast. The Unlimited Business was the podcast indeed. And now I get to return the favor Big Smoke style, because today's guest is a business system strategist, digital marketer, mental mastery expert, and entrepreneurial product developer. And to put the icing on the cake, he's also a U.S. Navy veteran and world traveler that has built 8 corporations and led, managed, grown nearly 100 businesses from 0 to 7 figures and beyond, folks. And my man is also best known for his campaign of freedom, wealth, and brilliance through his company, Build Brilliance. So let's give it up for the BAM himself, who's going to bring it to you and make all the wonderful explosions happen for your business. Let's give it up for the BAM himself, the brilliant, amazing, and master of all that is entrepreneur goodness, Brad A. Milford. How you doing today, Brad?
I am amazing. How can I not be amazing after that intro? That was amazing. You wrote all that for me? Thanks, Tom.
Just the BAM part. I'm like, oh shoot, BAM, like his initials are BAM. He's about to hit you with the BAM, Bam Bam Bigelow style, R.I.P.
I love that. There's so few people that pick up on that, but it's so true. I love it. Bam Bam. That was great to be here with you, man. Let's make this high energy. Right?
Oh yeah.
No, it's great. I'm glad to reconnect with you. It was great to be with you and connect with you on the podcast. And we share a lot of things in common. And it's great to be back with you here, my friend.
Oh, heck yeah. Yes, indeed. And I'm also known as a benevolent host because this is another Steelers fan, sadly, on the podcast. So he that's how good of a man he is. He's a Steelers fan, yet he can still be on the show. So, me being a Ravens fan.
It's okay. We there's a lot of love in the world. There's plenty of abundance to go around. So we love you, Baltimore fans, just the same, sort of, kind of, even when we're crushing you. Yeah, I knew that was going to come out at some point throughout. Might as well just get that right out of the way. Get to the core, right, my friend?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, maybe revenge will happen this year when it comes to the fun side of the game. Oh, just maybe. But hey, it ain't about football. It's about my man really just doing the whole darn thing indeed. My goodness, my man has a whole wealth of wisdom, and man's all about helping folks create more freedom. But if I'm not mistaken, you didn't always get to the point now where you're basically being a kingmaker and helping folks get those shackles off of them.
Right on. I love that. What I find really often, Dom, is, and I imagine you do too, and I'm going to check with you here in a second. What I find really often is that people get caught up in these shiny objects and these distractions and these tangents, and productivity plummets, and they start to swirl in shiny objects. And it just seems to be a little bit of an epidemic in the world we live in today, especially with recent events where so many people were forced to be online versus in the workplaces and whatnot. And so I'd like to speak into that a little bit today. That sound okay with you?
Sounds good indeed. That's right. Sounds good with all the O's.
So what I love to speak into, what I've been speaking into most recently and really delivering a lot for my clients, is what I like to call structure creates freedom. And that's such a strange statement. So if somebody's not heard that before, it might sound a little bit like a paradox, might just sound like it's counterintuitive. Structure creates freedom. How does that work? Right. I'm not sure if I believe that. So I encourage you actually not to believe me. I literally encourage you not to believe me. What I want to encourage you to actually test it. So I like to deliver actionable information, not just straight theory. Right. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have some actual information that you can actually test instead of just taking my word for it. And I think that delivers a lot more powerfully than just theory and practice alone. So I'd like to start out by just busting a few myths. Is that okay with you, Dom?
Oh, bust all of them.
All of them. Okay, this podcast might be a little longer than anticipated. We're going to bust all. Maybe not all of them, but I'll pick a couple prioritized ones. If that's okay with you all listening. When we talk about structure and how structure creates freedom, a lot of people misunderstand that. They're actually complementary, right? And so I want to speak into what complementary means. I'm going to take you back to grade school for just a moment. Bear with me. It'll be fun. It won't create trauma for you, I promise. But when we talk about angles in geometry, there's a complementary angle and a supplementary angle. And I actually use these in terms of relationships and referrals and different things. I talk about this a lot. And structure and freedom are complementary as well. A complementary angle, if you can picture in your mind's eye a 90-degree angle, everybody can picture that, right? So a 90-degree angle is set. And then if you want to complement that, you might create another 45-degree angle. That's a complement to the 90-degree angle. And then if you want to supplement, that is, if you want to complete the thing, then you add another 45-degree angle. So you basically have two 90-degree angles equals 180 degrees. And that's what you're trying to achieve. Whatever's finishing the thing is a supplement. Whatever's adding to the thing, but not completing, is a complement. And a lot of people misunderstand that. So when somebody says, hey, that really complimented me, you're actually adding to them. You're adding value to them. You're not completing them. You're just adding a compliment. And the reason why I say that is just to frame up the difference between, compliments. Structure and freedom are compliments. They don't complete you fully, but they definitely complement the trajectory that you're on. And understanding that is really important. You with me, Don?
Oh, yes, indeed. Especially with all the shapes.
So that's the first
no
thing.
wonder.
Yeah, exactly. Well, since it's a podcast, I want to be able to people to just exercise their creativity and their minds, right? The mind. So hopefully you pictured that along with me. Complements and supplements. So structure and freedom are complements. And a lot of people misunderstand that. The next is time management versus priority management. Okay. This is really, really important. Time management sucks. Sorry, I have to say.
Amen.
Like anytime I even hear the word time management, I just want to go on a rant, right? And so I won't on this podcast. But the thing is, time is just a thing. It's actually a created thing. There's all kinds of different times, right? There's the Mayan calendar. There's, there's all kinds of different times. It's just a made up thing that we use as a tool. But the problem that happens a lot of times, and when I used to actually track my time and do time audits and things like that, when it came to project management, look, it was very deflating for me. Like, it's boring, and it's not a whole lot of people like it. I mean, some people do. I love them too. They're probably from Baltimore. But with that said, just kidding. But with that said, like, time management sucks. Like, who wants to track their time all day long? That's not like very empowering. Now, language matters. So if you think about time management versus priority management, it really all comes down to priorities. And wouldn't you rather measure your priorities than you would measure time, which is just an ongoing thing? And a lot of people misunderstand that. There's so much talk in the world about time management, time management, time management. We get to work and they're talking about, oh, you got to manage your time and all this. Like, no, manage your priorities. Think about that for a minute. And to put it simply, it's like your method and your ability to manage time is not going to, that's not going to thing that's going to drive you. With every business objective or even personal objective, you start with a vision, and that vision has a plan or timeline to achieve those goals. And that's cool. But inside there, the most important thing is the priority that's going to drive the results. And so even using the terminology priority management versus time management completely changes the trajectory and what we're focused on. You with me?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, the next one, we'll do this one a little bit faster. This is another one that just it's just another rant I want to jump on. Balance. Balance is like chasing perfection.
Yeah.
Balance, I won't say it doesn't exist. I used to say it didn't exist. I mean, it does exist. That was a misspoken, statement for me. It does exist. Balance exists, but it's just not sustainable. Balance is like, I use the analogy of a teeter-totter or of a balance board. I used to play on those balance boards when I was a kid. You have a cylinder and you have a board across it and you try to balance. And that's what people are doing when they're talking about like work-life balance. Even saying the word work-life balance is putting you on a trajectory that is not sustainable. When on the other side, if you think about harmony can be sustainable. You could harmonize 19 different roles systematically through structures and processes and systems and be able to harmonize those activities to be able to handle them all in one day. You cannot balance them all in one day. It's not sustainable. It's not possible. And so that's a really important point. And again, terminology and language matters. I mean, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, just like anyone else. And trying to tackle every job that needs finishing is like trying to stay on a balance board. Balancing only lasts a short amount of time. And then you have to reset. And a lot of people are doing that every single day. And they're chasing something that's just not sustainable. So that's another myth that I love speaking into. You with me?
Oh, yes, indeed.
So priority management helps you, it helps your team, and it helps you prosper. And it's not really just semantics. I mean, I guess it is, but it changes the way you view everything at all. So those are some myths that will help you actually create a little more structure, which in turn will help you create freedom. So what I like to talk about, Dom, is how you get on a path, a faster path to success. Like, how do you produce more in less time through structure and still obtain freedom? So if you stop trying to balance all of that and you start trying to harmonize it instead, that's one key to get to. The truth is, we're all time manufacturers. So I make this joke all the time. I get these people who have messaged me, and they're in my inner circle. They get high priority and they're like, hey, is it okay? Can we possibly hop on a call? And I'm like, how about now? I manufacture time. because I manufacture time for things that are the most important. Now, not everything is a priority, but the priorities are priorities, right? Makes sense. And so when I make statements like that, hey, I manufacture time for you. I'm a time manufacturer for you because you're important in my life, family, friends, inner circle members. Now, when you get a little on the outer edges, we can't always have time for everyone, but if it's high priority, we can manufacture time for that. And if we have the structures and systems in place in order to facilitate that, then we can actually manufacture time for what's most important. You with me?
This is gold, man. I'm definitely with you.
So, but the problem is, so few of us have the structures and substructures in place that provide the discipline to be able to do that. And that's just a reality. I know it's a strong statement, but I'm a truth speaker, and I love to speak the truth. And what happens is most people are piddling around with stuff that doesn't matter, and they say things like, well, I don't have enough time, or, I can't do that because I don't have time, or I don't have enough money. Well, I mean, if you get more structured and more disciplined and you have some structures and substructures and you got systems in place and some automations, then you'll have some more time to create some more money and you'll have a lot more freedom. But you got to do the work. So the fact is, the more structure we have, the more freedom we experience. Now, I know still in this conversation, there's likely you might be listening and saying that still doesn't make sense to me. And I get it. I've been there. So I'm with you. And there's no finger pointing here. But we want to talk through that a little bit. See, when you have more structure, habits, structures, priorities, they take the decision making out of things for us, systems, processes. What they do is they simplify things for us. And so where a lot of us are, we need lots of time, we're making lots of decisions and we don't have quick decision making. We have to really think through it and you need to get input from other people, and we don't have a roadmap and we don't have plans, we don't have a strategic plan, all these kind of things. We're basically bushwhacking our way through life all day long. And then we're wondering why it's taking us so long to get there. Structure takes all of that and condenses time for you so that you're achieving more in less time. It takes a lot of what can be difficult in decision making. And then at the end of the day, you're just depleted because you're making all these little micro decisions and they're difficult. It makes it simple and it gives you more energy and more freedom. And then therefore you create more, faster, better, cheaper, and condensed time. So when we drop to the core, Dom, and for all of you listening, if hopefully I have your attention, it's all about priorities and habits. So I like to make what can be complex simple. I like to say simple is brilliant. I say it all the time. And so what can be complex can be simplified. And it all comes down when we drop right to the root cause, right to the core of things. Everything we do comes down to priorities and habits. What we do is either destructive or constructive. It's either ineffective or effective. And when you actually couple your priorities with your habits, you get superpowers, literally, so that you're able to do much more, have a lot more freedom, and accomplish more in a condensed amount of time. So habits eliminate the friction of decision making. And that's what a lot of people don't understand if they've not practiced and they haven't had training, or, look, how many of us when we're in elementary school were taught how to build good habits? Not many of us, right? How many college professors taught us how to build good habits? Did you have any of those classes?
No. That's a definite no right there.
And it's a shame because that's whether they're conscious or unconscious, that's what's driving us every day, like our beliefs, our motives, our drives. They're being driven either consciously or unconsciously. Wouldn't you agree, Don?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So how we manage that, the structure we create around those things, those are game changers, right? And they actually allow, when you begin to create more freedom and you have more structure, then you actually have more time for innovation. So, in case you're not an integrator like I am on this call, there's only about 4 integrators for every 100 visionaries. And it's, kind of a rare thing. It happens to be a sweet spot for me, but I understand. I connect with a lot of visionaries, right? Visionary business owners, things like that. And they have lots of ideas. And so if you're saying to yourself, like, man, this seems hard to me, it's really not. It's really not. But if you've never been trained in it, you weren't trained in elementary school, you weren't trained in high school, you weren't trained in college, and then how on earth would you know? How could you know? Right. So even me as a natural integrator and having some discipline structure through military and other things, even for me, it was difficult. I wasn't trained in it. I had to build it. It's a skill that you build. Or you connect with someone that has a skill. So if you're a visionary, you should have an integrator by your side. And if you're an integrator, you should be surrounded by a visionary. They're complementary. Back to geometry, right?
Mm. All the shapes, baby.
That's right. They complement one another, right? So the most innovative entrepreneurs and CEOs have the most structure, which creates more freedom for creativity and innovation. And in teams, when there's structure, there are fewer distractions and less tangents and more room for creativity. It removes all of those shiny objects, right? Like, hey, let's hang out and scroll in our feeds on social media. And then, a month later, after we've scrolled like for 4 hours a day, then we say, hey, how come I don't have any business? Well, I say it jokingly, but I mean, there are business owners out there doing that. They're just dying for some likes and hearts, and then they're wondering why they don't have any sales. Well, maybe you need some sales processes. There's less scrolling, right? You need a little bit more structure and some more discipline, because you can't eat likes and hearts. I'm sorry. They're just, they're not sustainable food. Again,
Especially now.
yeah. Yeah, things change. I mean, 5, 6 years ago, there was a different kind of thing. But nowadays, if that's what you're chasing, you're going to have a difficult time in business. So a little more structure, a little more discipline, a little more work, a little more priorities, and whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, getting really zeroed into the priorities. What is it that you're looking to accomplish? Get zeroed into that. Make the main thing, and then break that down into quadrants. Time chunk it, right? I love 90-day time frames. If you're really going to create structure in your life, you've got to have a time frame. So if we get down to brass tacks, you gotta really look at things like how much time are you screwing around in your inbox? How much time are you screwing around on social media? How many tasks are in your backlog? Like, really, do you know these answers? I mean, how much time are you spending maintaining? This is a big one. Maintaining versus continuous improvement. So
Wow.
let me illustrate that, because that can be a difficult thing to understand. If I want to lose weight, I'll just use losing weight as an example. If I want to lose weight and I'm just walking for an hour a day, and yet I'm coming home and I'm eating a candy bar, I may not even be maintaining. I might be, depending on, the energy exerted throughout the day. But a lot of people are treading water because they're just maintaining, but they're not maximizing. So they're not making any progress moving forward. So I would encourage you to answer this question if you're listening, as long as you're not driving. How much time are you spending maintaining versus continuous improvement that will move the needle forward for now and the future? That's 4D prioritizing rather than 2D or 3D. Think about it. And then how much time are you spending on calls every day? Like, in what areas do you know how much time you're spending in sales? What percentage of time? Is it 20% that you're spending on sales? Is it 30%, 40% of your day? How much time are you marketing? How much time are you running your operations, producing deliverables? That's what business is. Businesses produce deliverables. Yet so many people are, content and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. I mean, that is a form of deliverable, but that's such a small percentage of an actual real business. Real businesses produce deliverables for their clients. And that there's so many of the shiny objects that are not actually teaching us these areas, getting us trained in the habits that we actually need to drive forward. And it's no different if you happen to not be in business. That's cool too. Your personal life, how are you driving achievement? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you loving yourself? Or do you have compassion for yourself? These things, how much are you tracking? How much are you evaluating that? When's the last time you actually paused to consider whether you're really enjoying your life and the people around you are enjoying you as well? And what are you leaving in your wake?
Man.
So, how much time are you spending on leadership, sales, marketing, ops, team development, quality, finance? Do you know these? Because I'll be honest with you, many entrepreneurs do not know the answer to these questions. And if you're in the personal space, like how much time are you actually spending reviewing your goals? How much time are you, evaluating like your motives, your needs, your wants, your drivers, your teaching points of view, your leadership points of view, the things, your beliefs, your principles, your values, the things that are driving you every day. I stand in front of a room of 1,000 people, Dom, on occasion, and I say, "What's your number one belief?" And you know how many hands go up?
5.
You're very close. That's usually right on. It's less than 10 usually. But yet beliefs are the number one thing that is driving us every single day. And yet most people can't answer the question what my number one belief is. So if you're listening, I encourage you to ask yourself, what is it that I believe? And play the what if game. Not what your parents believe or what your teachers believe or what your spouse believes or your church believes even. Those are all good subjects and they're important to know. But I want to know what you believe. What do you believe? The thing that's driving you every day. What's your number one driver? Your number one belief. If you don't know your number one, your number two, number three, number four, I encourage that you do some thought about that. Play a what if game. If you woke up today and you didn't know what you believed, what would it be? Not proposed by somebody else, but your internal belief. What would drive you fresh and new? Yet so many people don't know the answer to that question. So I know we're going wide here, but the question is, this is how we get to priorities. You got to get to know yourself. You either get to know yourself or you go without. Right, Don?
Heck yeah.
So again, whether it's business or it's personal, all these things are integrated. And so the more you get to know, the more I say questions are the answer. The more you begin to question yourself, get more perspective. And this is how you find your priorities if you've never been trained in it. And then zero into the thing that you want. The question is like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? It's just some people that can't answer that question. I really don't know. Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to get to California and you don't have a GPS, then you better learn how to read a map. And if you don't know how to read a map, then you better ask questions on people on how to get there. But if you don't know where you want to go and you don't have a plan or path, it's going to be really difficult to achieve. And yet so few people have a very clear, crystal clear plan and path. So if you don't have a crystal clear plan and path, how do you know if your activities are yielding you the results? It's all about creating the structures and the substructures to produce the results that you're looking for. So most people don't have a time management problem. They have a priority problem. Too many people are spending disproportionate amounts of time in their daily activities in the wrong activities. And frankly, they don't know how to fix it. And there's no blame or shame here. I didn't either. I had to figure all this stuff out. And so if you're in that space, I encourage you to connect with somebody that can actually help you walk through that. And yet so many people are afraid to ask for help. We were talking about this before the podcast, weren't we, Don?
Oh yeah, it's true.
I don't know why that is. Now that is a question that is beyond me. It's not one I can answer, but so many people are afraid to speak up and say, "Can you help me?" And I was one of those people years ago. And it wasn't until I actually asked for help, when I put my ego down and I squashed it and I said, look, something's not right here. I've accomplished all these cool things and I've done all this stuff and I've spoken to presidents and, swam with sharks and I've read a bunch of books, but something's not right. I'm not getting to where I want to go and I don't know what's happening. And it's when I stopped trying to figure out everything on my own and I said, hey, I think I need a little help in this area. Can you help me? And of course, I'm willing to pay you for your time. Heck yes. Why wouldn't I? You're going to save me time. You're going to save me money. You're going to turn dimes into dollars. I'll pay you lots of money. But I got to figure this out because, I'm 40 years old and I still haven't figured all this stuff out. Can you help me? When you've got the vulnerability to ask someone who steps ahead of you, you will begin to move the needle forward. And so few people are willing to just say, can you help me? So that's important. And this is important to say. I mean, it's a true statement. It's bold, but busyness, my friends, busyness does not equal business. Activity does not equal accomplishment. You got to measure and evaluate what you're doing. So when you get your priorities, when you determine what you want, when you determine the roadmap, and it doesn't have to be the roadmap, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can iterate and improve along the way, but you got to get started on the path. You're going to California, you got to actually get off the couch, throw some food in a bag, get in the car and start your car. You just have to get started. You can improve along the way. Get a roadmap, get a clear plan and path, and start. And then you can improve, right? But remember, all the distractions along that route will not get you to where you're going very rapidly. So if you got a roadmap, it's the best way. You follow your GPS and you can sit back and listen to the radio too. But there's so many people that get caught up in these things because they're like, you need this, you need that, you gotta have this, you gotta do a blog, you gotta do a podcast, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Not everything is right for everyone. You got to find somebody headed to the path that you want to go, and then go snuggle up to them and say, hey, I see you are where I want to be a couple of years from now. Can you help? That will alleviate some of that busyness and will get you really zeroed in into the most effective path. Again, your actions are either destructive or they're constructive. They're either effective, they're ineffective. Simple stuff. Simple is brilliant. So if you're not reaching your goals, it's likely one of two reasons. You want to hear those, Tom?
Oh, do I?
Okay. It's either uncertainty or resistance. Uncertainty or resistance. So I love simplifying things. And we could say, well, no, it's this reason, it's that reason, it's that, whatever. We could go on for hours. But if we're getting down to simplified, it's either uncertainty or resistance. Both are solved at once by having frameworks that are simple, easy to use, and convenient. Okay. Uncertainty is solved by increased insights. I mean, it sounds like a simple statement, but it is. Uncertainty is solved by increased insights. So we want to get insights from somebody that actually knows and has proven the path for where we want to go, not just general insights, specific insights. Hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you done this? Have you done that? No, I haven't done that. Okay. Have you tried this? Okay. Maybe try this and then evaluate that because that worked for me. Why don't you try it? Like I said at the beginning of this, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to test this stuff. Okay, because theory only takes us so far. You can read as many books as you want, like I did for 6 or 7 years, book a day, but I didn't do anything with it. Information without action is only so useful, right? So we want to get out of theory. We want to actually start taking some action. So you can get prioritized by somebody that's ahead of you, and then you've got to test, right? To remove that uncertainty, you got to increase your insights, but you've got to evaluate them. resistance, the other side of that coin. So I said uncertainty and resistance. Resistance is solved by having disciplined reasons over excuses. Now, this is a big one. There's a lot of people that say, like, that's not going to work for me, or, I tried that and it didn't work. I said, look, I'm going to be the guy to tell you, get off your butt and get back there and try it again. You probably tried it one time and then you were like, yeah, it doesn't work. And that's not effective. So we talked about constructive or destructive, effective or ineffective. One try, at first you don't succeed, try again. I think that was like Thomas Edison or someone, but somebody smart said that. It wasn't me until now. But like, you got to get out there and do the work. You got to try different things. You got to remove that resistance. And the way to remove that resistance is you got to punch through. You got to have reasons over excuses, and you got to apply discipline. You got to do the work. You had somebody on your podcast just recently, Dom, not that long ago, Edwin. I really enjoyed. He was talking about the fundamentals and the SOP you need to win your day. It all comes down to fundamentals, right? I really enjoyed that. And so, and that's not been the only time that's been talked about on your podcast either. The fundamentals are what's driving us. So you got to have the reasons over excuses. Putting your habits in place is one thing, and then doing that stuff every day, but you got to have some discipline. You got to pay your dues, my friend. You want to be in the 1% or the 2%. You got to do what the 98% or the 99% aren't willing to do, right?
Yes, sir, indeed.
So, look, speakers speak, so I can speak, and I know you can too, but I want to just pause for a little bit and check in with you, Dom. See what thoughts you have or anything you want to share before I proceed and dive in. I got a few frameworks that I can actually deliver that are actionable. I thought your audience might love them.
Action is always great, man. But my goodness, just a quick recap. My goodness, especially with those myths at the beginning, like the 3 positive sides of the myths, like compliment, just adding to, like, of course, adding value. And then, of course, priority management. Like, dude, like, as soon as you said that, that reminded me of one of our past guests, Mara Neville Thomas, who talks about attention management, which is a little bit similar to that because, like, with everything else, everything's built to distract us from what we truly want to do. So, my goodness, making sure your priorities are right and focusing on that harmony. Since balance isn't going to be an all-time thing, and my goodness, and of course the maintenance versus the wonderful continuous improvement. My goodness, like, my man's been dropping all sorts of heat. So, out of curiosity, a question that kind of popped in my head earlier was similar to the habits, and when you structure your day, it kind of becomes automatic. So is that when you basically, like, in a way, kind of time chunk your day where you, like, I'd say, every 15 to 30 minutes you schedule something on your calendar, and it's basically a habit to where you don't even have to think about it, so you're a better decision maker, or is it something totally different?
That's a great question. I love that question, and I appreciate that you asked it, Tom. So I work with my clients deeply. I work with a lot of CEOs on this, who are trying to increase productivity and, just produce more during the day and all kinds of things. Blah, 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 blah. Right. But what we do, I think, is what you're asking. Right. And so I actually have created a habit tracker. Okay. And so anybody can basically do this. Look, I've been doing this for 2 decades, so I've become pretty adept at it. But really, for the audience here, you can start to create this. The exact question you were asking is like, how do I structure this out? So time chunking is good. And yes, there's plenty of information that online, and you can Google that. Like, you want to begin to time chunk your day, right? So, 45 minutes, I'm going to focus on this, and you create some time chunks for strategy thinking and you're inside your day and things like that. That's all cool. I take that one notch deeper. So I was talking about the different areas like leadership, sales, management. So when it comes to business, the way you would come to know how much time you're spending in any given area would be to track it. So for each client, it's customized to meet them where they are. I'm not delivering a one size fits all product, right? It delivers the results people are looking for. Because you got to think about your day. How do you want to structure out your perfect, joyful day? And yes, I do pause for stress there because it really is when we want to enjoy and have happiness in our lives. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. It's not going to be the same for anyone. So, what areas do you want to work in to achieve what it is that you want to achieve in your perfect, joyful day? I would encourage you to list those down. They won't be perfect at first. We got to start where we are, but begin to list them. Like for me, I break things down. I like to simplify what can be complicated. So I encourage you use this framework. This is how my habit tracker is structured. It's in 3 areas. And it doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 100 female CEO or if you are a stay-at-home dad. It makes no difference. This framework will work for everyone. Okay. There's only 3 areas of everybody's day. Ready?
Woohoo!
Before work, at work, and after work.
Hmm.
I mean, it sounds simple, but it is simple, right? So the reason why I broke that down, it is so simple, but it took me years to figure this out. So I want to structure the habits before work that are going to serve me. Okay. So there's a lot of talk nowadays. It's kind of trending, which is cool. But what are your habits before work? What's your morning routine, right? What's going to set you up for success during the day? So whether that's meditating, praying, reading, jump in a cold shower, whatever it is for you. Like if somebody tells me to jump in the cold shower, I'm going to tell them I did that enough of that in the Navy. And, that ain't happening today, but I'll go sit in my hot tub for a little bit. I had enough of those cold showers while I was in the Navy. Not happening. A little humor for you, so it's not so serious, but I'd get a kick out of that every time I hear that. I'm like, nope, maybe in my younger years, but it ain't happening today. So what is it for you, right? What is going to set you up for success before work? Okay. And then structure those out, time chunk them. Approximately how long is it going to take you? 10 minutes to meditate, 15 minutes to pray, whatever it is, and so put them in there, but track them. Are you actually doing those things daily? Take it off. Because if you don't know you're doing them, how on earth do you know where you are? I hear this all kinds of time. I call people out on this all the time, Dom. Yeah, I'm on track. Okay, cool. How do you know? No, I'm on track, man. I'm like, oh, how do you know? They're like, what do you mean? I just mean, I feel like I'm on track. I'm like, oh, so you have some ethereal notion. You feel like you're on track. That's what, whoever told you that was the way to go about things. That's not measurable. You just say, yeah, I feel good. Okay, cool. I'm glad. I hope you're not trying to run your business that way.
Ouch.
If you want a predictable, duplicatable, repeatable, scalable, profitable, and sustainable business, I hope you're not running your business like that. Look, track plus action is traction, but you've got to have the track. And so if you're not tracking it, you really don't know where you are. With me?
My man's giving you the jewelry store, baby.
So, and look, this is not rocket science. I'm not a rocket science, my man. I'm not. I have more training in this area. I've been studying this stuff for years. So that's before work. So track it. And look, I'm not saying to be perfect either. So let's be humble here, right? I talk about structure and freedom. They're complementary. So if you're trying to make sure that you're doing this 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that's not sustainable. It's just, okay, maybe if you're a machine, so possibly David Goggins might be able to do it, but that's not for me. So, I want to give myself some leeway, some space, some compassion, and some self-love, right? So 80% of the time is what I shoot for. That's what I tell my clients, and that's achievable. So when you're tracking these things, look, I did it Monday, I did it Tuesday, I did meditate Monday, I did it Wednesday, I did it Friday. Like you can actually determine how much you're actually achieving your goals to serve you in where you're headed. And so you literally have a track and you know what's working and what's not. And then you evaluate weekly to say, hey, you know what? I thought I wanted to do that every day, but it's taking too much time. So either I need to stack habits to condense time, or I just need to cut it out for now and I'll fold it back in later. Because in order to achieve more things, I need to focus on the main thing. But without a system in doing this, you're really, it's all just these emotional, ethereal notions, which may or may not be effective. So I encourage you, I use the morning habits there. I hope I answered your question, Dom, but I do the same thing for your at work. What are the regular reoccurring activities that you're doing every single day that are predictable, duplicatable, repeatable, scalable, profitable, and sustainable? And if you don't know these, I highly encourage you connect with someone that can help you determine what they are. And then do the same thing for your night. How are you going to, so before work, at work, and after work, how are you going to know where you are, whether it's your family, your friends, activities, whatever it is for you, right? I like to set myself up with my intentions the night before. So I do an evaluation of the day, which is a simple Google form. I ask myself a number of questions and evaluate my day. The people, how did I serve people that day? Who did I serve that day? How did I serve them? What worked? What didn't work? What do I need to change? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? Right? These are good evaluative type questions to see what I need to adjust. And I do it daily. And look, it's 80% of the time. So I skip a day every now and then whenever I feel like it. So, and then how do I set my intentions for the next day? I used to do it in the morning, but I learned it was better for me to set the intentions before I go to sleep. Makes for a better start for the next day. So it's still little simple things like that. I hope I answered your question, Dom.
Man, solid answer indeed. And funny enough, it's like when you said said it that way, it's like, hey, before work, during work, and after work. It's like, you know what? That makes total sense, and it's kind of like the it's like the snake that would have bit us. It's the elephant in the room, but most folks don't talk about it. They always go in all these different directions.
So true. It's so true. And again, it just, look, no finger pointing from here. It was just like, I'm sorry, but the apple never hit me on the head like it did Newton, or like I was never trained in these things. I had to literally learn these things the hard way. And unfortunately, this stuff isn't being taught. And well, I should say, fortunately, right? So, because I get to be on your podcast and be able to talk about them. So it's actually a beautiful opportunity. So, people talk about OKRs and KPIs and all these things, and so, but they're just so complicated that it's really difficult to achieve them and track them. And, not many of us are trained in that. So I just encourage you to start out small and fold in some basic habits before work. What's going to serve you and taking you where you want to go at work? What's the things that you know of today that you can track to make sure you're actually on a track? And then, you can improve it later. It doesn't need to be perfect, right? So that's what I would encourage everybody. And that is actionable. You can literally start that today and just get started. And then if you stick with it, if you exercise the discipline to stick with it, you will find if you evaluate, so you don't just blindly just keep going and going and going. You pause once a week to evaluate those things to see if they truly are serving you. And then you can iterate and adjust them week by week by week and tweak them. And if you use that process of continuous improvement, 1 year from today, you will be shocked at how much progress you make. And you'll be really, really proud of yourself. And everybody around you will likely see you in a different light. So it's really powerful stuff. Yet so few people do it. Like some of this stuff is, really, I work with CEOs and teams, and it's some of this stuff, like some of the results I have, like improvement, 42% improvement cross team for corporation. 42%. Can you put that in dollars? That is huge amounts of money, right? So just imagine this stuff is simple, but it works when you get zeroed into the priorities, when you remove the uncertainty and begin to increase your insights, when you remove resistance, when you begin to add in and fold in systems and framework. These are game changers, right? So there's one or two other frameworks and actual information I'd love to deliver to your audience. Tom, you cool with that?
Oh, cooler than 3 cucumbers, man.
All three of them. Nice. So one of the biggest, most challenging things that people in general, individuals, so individual contributors, as well as businesses experience is people just getting started, just getting started on something. Would you agree?
You can say that again.
Yeah. There's like, they just don't know where to get started. And so they're either waiting for perfection or they've got analysis paralysis or they're getting too much input or they're distracted or whatever, but they have trouble getting started. So there's a simple framework and I'm going to deliver to you right now. Now I've taught this for very large corporations. I've taught this to individual clients and then now I'm going to deliver it to you. So I want to encourage you to pay attention. It's really simple and I call it D2B2. Not to be confused with R2D2, which is something totally different.
Beep.
But it's D2B2 and it stands for dirty, dog, beautiful, brilliant. And I know that sounds really strange. And that's okay. By the time I'm done describing this, you will actually remember it. And this is a framework that you can use to get started today and improve along the way. And so I use this with a lot of people. It's very helpful. All right. So what I want you to do, so D2B2, now what I want you to do is I want you to picture a dog. So everybody can picture a dog in their mind's eye. And this dog is caked in mud, is rolling around in the mud, has been like in the field, like out on a farm. I mean, it's literally caked so black with mud that you can't tell it's a dog. Okay. That is the dirty version. Okay. You can't even tell it's a dog. The thing is, this is how every process gets started. I don't care what you're working on. It doesn't matter if you're working on a website or if you're working on a speech or if you're working on connecting with one of your coaching clients. It doesn't matter. We got to get started somewhere, right? And we all start off in this dirty phase where we can barely tell what it is. Maybe you're writing a book or starting a podcast, right, Don?
Oh, yeah.
So you start out with this dirty phase. And that's where people are afraid. They're like, almost people are conditioned to this learned helplessness. Like they have this perfect product to present. And when you open up dialogue, whether it's a company or whether it's just individually for yourself, you open up dialogue to say, you know what? I just want to see the dirty version. That's all. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just want to see, like, put something on paper and get it started. And then we'll have a different conversation. We'll move to the next phase. So you start by just creating something dirty and rough. Okay. Then you iterate it. So this is based on, and it's actually a very complicated framework called Scrum, and it's agile project management, and just gets confusing for people. I've just simplified all this. So the dog, okay, moves. So it's dirty dog, beautiful brain. So the dog moves. So you go from dirty to dog. The dog rolls around in a little water puddle outside, okay, washes himself off a little bit, and now you can actually tell it's a dog. He's still dirty, still got mud in his fur and all that kind of stuff. But you can see him now. You can see that it's actually a dog, right? But there's no way you're letting that dog in your house at this stage. I mean, he just cleaned himself up in a puddle. So that's the same thing. Whatever the project you're doing, where you just take that dirty version and you just tweak it. You fix it up a little bit. You refine it a little bit. With me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you move from dirty to dog. Now you want to move from, so it's dirty dog, beautiful brain. Now you want to move to the brilliant or to the beautiful phase. And beautiful is what I call BFR. So it's beautiful, functional, ready. And what that means is I put my client hat on at this stage and I say, hey, I want to make this client ready. Okay. So now we've gone from this dirty, rough, messy thing that was easy to just flip on paper and nobody cared, really, it doesn't need to be that thorough. And then we tweaked it and refined it a little bit. Now we want to make a client ready. It's much easier to make a client ready that we've used these two simple steps. Now we just say, okay, what would the client expect? What have I seen before? What examples do I have? Things like that, right? So it's a lot easier to refine it to the beautiful, functional, ready stage. And then that's where most people stop. So dirty dog, beautiful. That's where most people stop. Where I excel is in helping them to be able to turn that into what I call brilliant. So your dog is cleaned up now. At the beautiful stage is cleaned up. You've given him a shower and he's able to walk around the house and he's all good. Okay. But that's not the last thing. We want to fix that dog up. We want to take him to the salon. We want to put a bow around his neck. We want to put some sunglasses on him, have him chill for us, like have a little fun, roll around. That's an optimization phase. And not enough people actually walk through the optimization phase. So you work from client ready to what I call brilliant. That's part of my company name, right? You find the brilliance inside you and you're able to optimize and turn that into something truly, truly genius, truly brilliant, right? That optimization phase is the key. And so it's those 4 phases, which is, like I said, based on agile management and Scrum, but it's just simple. You just go from dirty to dog to beautiful to brilliant. But you can't go backwards. You can't get something brilliant without walking through some simplified stages. And that's where people stay stuck and they procrastinate all the time. With me, Dom?
Oh, yeah. That's right indeed.
We literally have conversations in our team and say, hey, look, just give me a dirty version of that document. And once I see it, then I'll be able to help you refine it and we'll take it to the second stage. And they're like, okay, cool. And so there's none of this like, you didn't supply me what I expected because I didn't give you expectations. And then like they get slapped down and then they feel bad and then they're disempowered. And so it removes all of that. Hey, just give me a rough and dirty version, man, and then we'll have a quick conversation about how to tweak that up to the next stage. And so it's actually a framework that helps people be a little more motivated and a little more engaged in their work. So hopefully that delivered a lot of value. I got plenty more of these kinds of things, but I know we don't have unlimited time on the podcast either. So hopefully I delivered some value for you, Dom.
Oh, that you did. My man's building brilliance, baby. That's right indeed. Takes you from dirty dog. That's what reminded me of Zig Ziglar. Speech nice. Like dirty dog.
Hey, five dogs on a log. I'm just having fun here because you said Zig Ziglar, and this is where I'm at. 5 dogs on a log, and 4 decide to jump off. How many are left?
All 5 of them.
That's right. So you know the answer. That's right. All 5. But most people are like, 1. What do you mean? I'm like, no, 5. It's Zig used to deliver this with 5 frogs on a log. 4 decided to jump off. How many are left? They're like, 1. I'm like, no, let me say it again. Deciding isn't doing, is it? No.
Oh, man.
So hopefully, so true, as I said in the beginning of this podcast, I don't want you to believe me. There is one thing. It's cool. And I'm happy to be here with you today. I don't really want you to just take what I'm delivering and just believe me, though. I actually want you to test it, put it in practice. Just start with your morning habits. Track them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Give yourself a leeway day, right? Track it. See if that creates a track and you start producing more, and then evaluate those at the end of the week and see if that's serving you for a month. Check in periodically. Use the D2B2 framework with your team, with your family, whoever, and see if that actually works with you. And then come back and tell Dom this was valuable for you. I'm sure he'd love that.
Heck yeah. That's right. And I can forward it to Brad, and then it's win-win. It's like, testimonial, baby. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Because at the end of the day, this podcast is built to help others, man. Because that's really what it's all about. Because folks help me, and my man Brad is helping out tons and tons of other people. So hey, let's help everybody become better humans and not butter humans.
You said butter humans?
Yeah, because once the sun comes out, aka some adversity shines on you, it's like, oh crap, no, I'm melting under pressure. No.
Nice. Okay. There's a lot of that out there, unfortunately. Right on. Better humans rather than butter humans. I love it. That is a new one on me. Thank you, Dom.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just love people's reactions when I drop them. I was like, "Oh yeah, we want to be better and not butter." Don't you mean better? Oh yeah, that too. Like what?
I love that.
Oh man! But before my man escapes, coming down to the Wonderful question I love to ask every guest, and that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're in 2022 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
You said I wasn't 25.
I thought you said you were 27.
Yeah, no, 25 was I know we're we're not on camera, so yeah, 25 was like, yeah, long time ago. So one of the things, and I'm a pretty just vulnerable, authentic guy. And so one of the major mistakes I made for the majority of my life, 40 plus years, was keeping people at an arm's length. And I say that most vulnerably, heart-centeredly. It wasn't something I intended to do. It was just my upbringing and, lack of knowledge and things like that. And I didn't know how to become closer with people, how to actually create a deeper relationship with people. I didn't know how. So there's no anger, resentment, or anything. But if there was one thing I could change, knowing what I know now, I would actually find a way to connect with people on a deeper level. I don't need to know everybody, but the people that I do know, I want to be able to create better community with them, to be able to connect with them. There's levels to intimacy, there's levels to connection, right? And so I'd want to be able to connect with more people over time and connect on a deeper level. And I wish I had learned that at a younger age. I mean, you could call it community if you want to, or you can call it family or neighborliness. But life is all about service. We're in the people business, whether you're in business or you're not in business. We're in the people business, like serving and kindness and love. It all comes down to love, man. You're not going to remember, you know, the stuff you think maybe you might remember on your deathbed. You're probably not going to remember that. You're going to remember experiences and love and emotions. Connectiveness is where it comes through. So that's what I would focus in on, the connectiveness, whether it's I don't know, whoever it is, be close, be real, be authentic, be present. That's the stuff that matters.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, indeed. The stuff that matters, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right.
And priorities, of course, and habits.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. The PM, y'all. And I ain't talking about after 12 o'clock in the afternoon either. That priority management, y'all. That's right. That's right, indeed. Brad's right about that, indeed. I also call him the doctor of brilliance right here, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, man, reminds like, hey, it's all about priorities. Get your priorities in order, indeed. That's right, so we can get those ducks in a row. And then Affleck Duck will bow down to you and be like, ha ha, Affleck. That's right. That's right.
How many ducks are running along?
Oh, God. That's probably a sign for you to ask where the heck folks should find you. So, for those who need to keep in contact with you and all the stuff you're doing, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Yeah, pretty simple. So I'm on the main channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, that kind of thing. So you feel free to look me up there. But the easiest way is to go to buildbrilliance.net. So BUILD, Build Brilliance, just like it sounds, .net, and then do /contact. After poking around, I've got some free resources up there. I got, free ebooks, all kinds of cool stuff, lots of videos. Once you poke around a little bit and you want to just reach out, let's have a conversation. It's about the depth, right? No selling. Let's figure out where you are, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, what kind of structure you want to create, how much freedom you want in your life. Let's have a conversation. All that people that are trying to sell you something without knowing you, run away, run away. So let's have a conversation. That's how you get in touch with me, Dom.
Amen to that indeed. Amen to that indeed. That's right, folks. That's right. Head out to his site indeed. Some great ebooks, especially for you business owners indeed. Heck, even just for the wonderful folks listening right now who just want to be at a higher level in advance. 10 steps to become a high achiever, y'all. That's right, indeed. He's got the metaphorical weed to take you to a higher level, y'all. That's right. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed.
If I only had the rhythmical melody that you had in voice, I may need some coaching lessons for you, my friend. I'm not afraid to ask for help.
Years of practice.
Yeah, that's right. You have like 300 some odd more podcasts than I do. So you're ahead of the game, my man. I celebrate you for that.
Hey, I appreciate it indeed. Heck, that means you're added to the fold indeed. That's right. As one of the hundreds of gems that have graced the wonderful virtual stage. So, any closing thoughts before we close up shop?
I'll just encourage you, if anything in this podcast spiked you, look, I say what I say with grace, and I do love to speak some truth, but we're all on a journey or a path, and we're just in our own space. So if anything poked you, good. I'm glad it did. It was meant with love, and it was meant with kindness, and it was meant from the place of service and growth. And just remember that no matter where you are, who you are is greater than where you are. You always have room to grow, my friend.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too. And be sure to subscribe to hear more, and heck, even check out the backlog if you would like, because there are hundreds of episodes to choose from, and they just keep getting better and not butter.